Welcome everybody to a special New Year's edition of Radio ISR, and of course it's all about New Year's resolutions. So we're going to look at goal setting for 2019, we're going to look about how to become an expert in 2019, and finally, how can I improve my DRA? And if you hang on to the very end, I'm going to give you a tool that's going to allow you to set yourself some goals and actually achieve them in 2019. So welcome everybody to another episode of Radio ISR, and as you can see, it's our New Year's year edition.
Happy New Year.
Do that again, Dave.
Janie Mackers with your voice of decent clobber.
We're still recovering, as you can see.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's been a really interesting start of the year already, and we won't go through all the great stuff that's happened already, you know, because you're all probably aware of that.
Can't believe that happened at the launch.
Oh, unbelievable, man. The state of him, man, you know. Oh my God, you know. So we won't cover that on the show, you know. We'll actually cover that the next time round, all about the launch meeting and everything else. So, but this time around, we're going to do a special theme show about the Happy New Year's. And, you know, we all know New Year's is a time for New Year's resolutions. So I think we all like to start our new year with the things that we would like to do and what we'd like to change in our life, lose some weight, get healthy, get fit, give up cigarettes, give up drinking. You know, there's a million things you'd like to do. So we're going to focus around maybe 3 New Year's resolutions that would be great, that's really going to help you perfect your business and deliver as many cars as possible in 2019. So without further ado, I want to cover that with you right now. But before I do that, again, the Radio ISR live chat is up, so please
hey,
let's hear it. Yeah, first ones of the new year.
Absolutely, looking forward to getting some good comments in there. Just make sure there's no profanity. You guys been really good about it so far, you know. So first New Year's resolution is have a goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, I think that's, you know, it's one of those no-brainers, no doubt about it, you know. But you'd be surprised how many people don't actually have any goals, you know.
Or people who can't hit them, like Lukaku.
Don't know how to make them,
Yeah, it's really, really true. You know, I mean, you know, I think really, you know, you always hear all these things, what separates a great salesperson from an average salesperson or whatever. But I think anything in life, the people who are very goal driven, people who want to achieve things in life, you know, have some sort of goal, and that's how they get there at the end of the day. And if you don't have a goal, then guess what? You're not going to go anywhere. Maybe that suits you, you know, but I don't see why you'd come all the way and work in a foreign country and, you know, do this sort of job and really you don't have a plan B, what you want to do maybe after this or what you want to achieve while you're here. And so no matter what happens, if you get focused on a goal, you know, not only you make some money, but you'll feel good about yourself as well, you know. So what I want to do here is I want to cover something that, again, I will make available to you at the end of the show. And it's a little goal planner thing. So, you know, I think it's something that definitely will help you. It's something you can do all by yourself and you don't need anybody else to come in and judge you or whatever, you know. But I just want to show you it's a nice little tool. And I've had some success using it over the years and maybe, you know, you'll see the same. There'll be a version for this for the AX ISRs, the Mercedes ISRs, the Middle East ISRs. So one will reflect the right pay plan that's out there, you know. This one's going to be one for a PX here in Europe. So there'll be some euros, some dollars in there. So just ignore that. But just understand basically what we're trying to achieve here. That's all, you know, when you, for this purpose of the demonstration, you know. So I've just put this thing up on the screen here. It's an Excel sheet, you know. And the first things first, it starts what we call a SMART goal. Do you remember the SMART goal from Lead the Boys?
Absolutely. I'll leave this one to Carlos. Specific? We go letter by letter.
No, just so you know, Dave actually can't see the screen here, yeah? So just so you know this, yeah?
Specific. Measured.
Good man.
Attainable.
Yeah, wow. Relevant, well done. Yeah, he's actually not looking at the screen here, you know.
Time driven.
Wow, well done. Time limit and trackable, you know.
Good man.
There you go. Well done. Well done.
On the spot, fair play.
Many years since you've done a lead.
Stuck that in my brain.
Yeah.
My Lead the Boys course.
Yeah, and you know, and these are quite nice. These are. I mean, so I've always liked this SMART goal myself. You know, it's specific. So if you got a goal, it's got to be something. You know, that's you can actually put your finger on. You know, and it's got to be measurable and it's motivational. That's what the M is. You know, so can you measure it, and is it motivational? So you know, and that's important as well. Is it attainable? Yeah, and is it realistic, or is it relevant? And of course, there has to be some sort of time limit, because one of the things I was taught, you'd have like a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, and a long-term goal. And I think having that, be able to track it and, know it's attainable is very, very important. There's no point in saying, I want to be an astronaut, first person that goes to Mars, when, you're not even involved in, that industry or whatever, So, you got to keep it real, that's all, And then there's another one here, which is the DPTNL, which I don't expect most of you to know, but it's very similar. And basically the D is decide what you want, P is pretend, visualize, what it's like when you have achieved your goal. T is, again, time limit as well. N is never take no. And L is listen to your subconscious. And I think what I like about this one here is when you visualize, and I think anything about when you're trying to achieve a goal, it's really important. I think if maybe you're driving in your car and you're thinking about how are you going to feel when you do that? What is it going to be like next year at the launch meetings and the launch awards that you're going to get up and you're going to pick up that plaque for being the top ISR in that category? How is it going to make you feel? And if that makes you feel good, then that's going to allow you to keep moving your goal in the right direction, So anyway, there you go. That's the kind of the SMART goal, for example. So for this purpose that I have here on the Excel sheet that you see right now, this is a 5-year plan. So this is a long-term plan, basically. And this person wants to save 100,000 euros over the next 5 years. They want 100,000 euros because they want to set up their own business. They want 100,000 euros because they want to pick a huge down payment on a house they want to buy. Or they want to have, money that they can just basically have in their bank and have that peace of mind that, no matter what happens, they got themselves covered, And generally, if it was a 5-year plan for 100,000 euros, it'd be 20 grand a year. Okay, that's what you need to basically put in your. Yeah, exactly. So I've got the 20,000 here in this in the Excel here. Now the next thing where you got to keep this real basically is to put in your true expenses. Okay, not to kid yourself on them. So for example, on this example here, I've got housing, rent include, mortgage and utilities, 750 euros a month. That's calling it warm. So I'm going to say no. Actually, my place is 900 euros warm. That includes electricity, the heat, and everything else. And when you type in the 900, as you can see, it annualizes it and it changes to 10,800. Then you got your auto cost, how much is your car payment, your insurance, your tax, all that basically is going to cost you per month to run your car. And you can see it's got 350. I think realistically it's probably going to be close to more than 450 per month. So let me just change that to 450 and it annualizes it. And then you can see, you can put in your telephone bills, how much food you spend, how much entertainment, 100 euros a week, basically, 400 a month, how much you're going to spend on clothes per month. And then, of course, for those guys here working in Europe, want to make sure you put some money away because you need to put some money for taxes. So let's say I'm going to put, 10,000 euros worth of taxes here because you need to have that money as well, Actually, let me change that to 10,000 over here. Okay, so there you go. So bottom line is, you're going to need, in this example here, 42,000 euros, 660 just to live, have your nice lifestyle, your car, going out, all that kind of stuff. And of course, in addition to that, you need another 20 grand because that's, of course, for your goal. So you're going to need 62,660 euros just basically to achieve your goal and live your life basically what you want to do.
For the next 5 years.
This just, so, no, this is just this year. So this year, exactly. So that's what you're going to need, and you're right. Sorry, Carlos, you're absolutely right. So for the next 5 years. So as I scroll down, we're going to try and build this into how this would equate to in a business, Now, one thing, if anybody looks on Power BI, you'll see what your closing ratios, what your deal to orders, and what your DRA. And what that is also, that's talking about the funnel, basically, How many leads, basically, does it take for you to turn a lead into a delivery? And that's going to obviously dictate, how many deliveries or how many leads you're going to need in order to make that money. So for example, if you go in if you go into Power BI, you can see your statistics on there. So I'm going to put, for example, in Europe, the average person on the PX in Europe, and I'll pick on them, their average closing ratio is 41%. So 41% of people that come in that we take a lead on, we're going to take a deposit on. Yeah? And then 69% of them are going to turn into a order. And then about 81% of them drive away into a vehicle. So that's the back end of it. That's an average person. So if you're doing an average job, let's say I'm going to put those figures in there, your figures could be worse or better. Then essentially if you think about maybe just taking a lead a day, all right, that's what you're going to do. Is a lead a day based on those figures going to drive it for you? And a lead a day is probably like about 25, 26 leads. Yeah. So I just changed it to 26 basically on there. So basically 26 leads or a lead a day with average kind of, sales figures basically would generate 71 deliveries. And that would mean about 56,000 euros in monies with good FSG, you know. So basically you'd be 6,386 euros short of your goal if you were just to take a lead a day and just be an average salesperson in Europe, basically, is what you would do. So really what you got to do is you can figure out two things. Okay, you can continue on just taking 26 leads, and maybe you can cut out some things. Maybe you can walk to work every day. Lose the car payment, you know. Maybe you don't go out every weekend and, you know, and then you stay like a hermit inside your apartment, you know, for the next 5 years, you know. Or maybe make a commitment to try and figure out how you can get some extra leads, because that's probably another way to do it where it doesn't upset your lifestyle, you know. So, for example, does it sound like maybe getting one extra lead per week through generating it through, whether it's through Facebook or Buku or all the different things from prospecting and all the different things? Does that sound like a lot to ask of somebody? One lead per week. Okay. No. So what I'm going to do is, for the sake of this argument, I'm just going to change this from 26 to 30. Okay. Does this get us closer to the goal? And then if we can get to 30 leads, then basically, it would leave us a surplus of 4,435 euros. Wow. So that not only with that, we could probably achieve our goal in 4 years, because we can get it up to 25 grand a year as opposed to 20 grand a year
for one lead extra.
For one lead per week.
And now we've tapped into the R,
got it.
Which is now is realistic.
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is exactly it. And then maybe there's an opportunity. You know, maybe your closing ratio. Sorry, you're not the average. You know, your closing ratio is only 36%. Then maybe that's something you need to work on with the new year. You got to work on your closing. Maybe you got to figure that out. But whatever that is, you can use this calculator really to work yourself out, and then keep yourself goal orientated so that it will actually happen for you. So like I said, at the very end of this, I will make this available. All you have to do is email me, tell me where in the world you are, and I will send you a version that's relevant to where you are in the world on there, you know. So that's my part of the presentation when it comes to this. And obviously I would like to find out maybe if Carlos or Dave have anything they'd like to add to this.
Well, I had a goal since the last podcast to lose some weight. I mean, you can probably see, I'm actually after losing about 1 kilo because I was jogging, I was jogging a lot of memories, and I lost a full, I think that's about what that Christmas jumper weighed.
I forgot about that.
Looking good, feeling great.
And as well, since the first time that you introduced me to this planner there was Paul, I mean, apart from what we do as ISRs, I mean, of course, we put in a lot of hours and we have to do a lot to manage ourselves as well. So that as well helped me out to actually put a gauge on myself, you know, not only on the professional side, but as, you know, my family life, you know, the goals for the kids, you know, and things of the sort, because a lot of times we can tend to be a lot selfish, you know, it's all about me. But if the team is not working, if you don't have a plan for you and the family, then you're going to come to the office and not be successful as well.
And I hate to say it, you know, to take care of your family requires money normally. Don't get me wrong, you got to spend hours and you got to do things with them, but you know, the roof over the head and money in the bank and all that really helps for a happy life, if you know what I mean. You know, so although this selfishly is all about selling lots of cars, but I hate to say it, that's what we're here for. You know, if you've decided to leave your country and come to a foreign country to sell cars, then probably it's a good idea that you have some sort of plan to say, hey, I want to do this for 5 years. I'm going to make as much money as possible over the next 5 years. And then you have options after that. You can then decide what you want to do. You can do it for another 5 and then save up another 100,000 or whatever that is. But at least then you're not going to be one of those people that basically left here with their, what they call a bimble bag. What Americans call it, right?
Stick there.
The stick. You know, you know, I mean, do you really want that? You know, like going home in shame after doing this? No, of course not. You know, I mean, this is it, you know. So yeah, it requires a little bit of commitment. There's no doubt about it.
We also have to some of the best guys I know at visualizing the goals actually have the number.
Yeah.
On their, you know who I'm talking about.
For sure,
the number is on the screen.
Yeah.
They'd have the number on a poster on the wall, and they'd have on a monthly basis coming into that month what that number is that they're going to hit, and they're like animals to hit that number. They are so driven. There's also some great literature as well, I think, on it. I'm reading a great one at the moment called Eat the Frog. Yeah. Sounds like a very strange one, but maybe we can stick the link in the bottom of the podcast. Yeah. It's a really good one I bought on Amazon about goal setting, you know, so there's lots of great literature out there. So, yeah, there's no excuse really.
No, there isn't. That's for sure. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of committing. That's all. I think just some people run to the hills when when they think about goals and they think they're corny and, but this isn't school anymore, we're not
like
we're not teenagers, you know what I mean?
You speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? It's not like, it's not like sitting in the back of the class, it's not cool to sit up front or whatever. We're beyond that now, so, get yourself a goal, challenge yourself.
Don't treat it like any other New Year's resolution as well, where you last only for 3 months, and then you're back off the wagon and get back to your old habits.
Well, that's the great thing about our business. You recover. You can have one bad month and you just know what you got to do. If it's going to take 12 orders a month to get to your goal because you want to deliver 120 cars or whatever that is, then you know if you had a month with a 6, and you got to make a month of an 18 then to make up for the difference. So that's nice about, especially with our SMART goals, that you know it's attainable and it's trackable, and you can kind of work towards it all the time to get where you want to go at the end of the day. So I think we're going to go on to our next New Year's resolution, if I'm not mistaken, on there. And actually, before I do, I just noticed here that our live chat viewer has been pinging away here, and we've got actually some comments out there right now, So I want to talk about...
It's not me.
Not me.
That's me.
Burn! The host. What's the reminder for? You have to share it with the podcast. Get up and go to work.
Yeah, 12:45.
Gotta go. You know how important lunch is,
Yeah.
I've assimilated very well here in Italy. I have.
Now for the 3-hour lunch break.
It's so tough.
Back to the goals.
Back to the goal. Actually, our live chat viewer window has been pinging away here, and I got some comments here for you. So I got Claw 1. Ethan is a chip off the old block.
Hey, welcome to the team. Right?
Yeah. Which block is that?
And then we got Molar Man saying, dude. Irish Joe in Bavaria, wishing everybody a happy New Year's.
Same to you, Joe.
And then Ramstein for life. I'm still hungover from the banquet. It's the launch meeting, but
Plenty of fluids, Ramstein.
And then Jay Bird, Brett, leave some customers for me.
For all of us.
Luckily, it's only the 15th. Yeah, you can still say that.
Cool. All right, so Dave, we're going to move on to you, which is basically the New Year's resolution is improving my DRA. That would be a great thing, no doubt about it. Yeah, it would definitely be nice to deliver more of what we've written because we've done all the hard work. So go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, we've visualized it in the past, sitting down doing business evaluations of what just even 1% would make a difference of, and after putting in the hard work, most of this is going to sound like real common sense because it is, But one of the first things to do is when you're initially taking all the information, make sure that you put a correct email address in. Right? I know it sounds obvious. However, I've seen people who actually go ahead, they come in, I'm just looking, and someone will put in a Mickey Mouse email address into Milquote when they're doing the initial quote. But guess what? The person goes ahead with the vehicle, and then in 6 months' time, when a delivery coordinator is trying to reach out to them in the States, they can't. Or the customer never received an order acceptance, which segues nicely into the next thing to do is make sure an order acceptance has been sent out. So the deal may have been processed, turned into an order, but you might find out in 3 weeks' time an order acceptance wasn't sent out. Why is it important? It's because it's the one contractual binding thing that we have that shows the customer exactly what they're ordering. So they'll receive that and be able to review it and say, actually, you made a mistake here because you're only human and that's the time to deal with it because we can still change it at that stage. So make sure an order acceptance is sent out. Set a filter on your ST15 for the deliveries due to go down in the next 60 to 90 days. Review them at least once a week. Make sure they're moving. Make sure that they've been introduced to who their delivery coordinator is. And wait for a customer's orders before you send a vehicle somewhere, because I don't know about the rest of the world, but I often have customers coming into us where they'll turn around and say, we're probably going to be going to Virginia, for example. So we'll put that in as a destination, but then when their actual orders are cut a month later, it turns out they're going to Texas. And now we've got a vehicle that has to go to Virginia first, and then it has to go down to Texas. Lastly, but not least, don't overpromise and underdeliver. Make sure you know the facts and figures when it comes to BNF. The buy and fly is not there to stop a cancellation, is to help them out. So things like that, I think, are really, really common sense, you know. But what do you guys think? Have you got any more input than that?
Yeah, I think just following on that line as well, I think good follow-up in ST15 is very important. You would be surprised how many people I walk into their office and look at their ST15 and see that on their order tab, there really is a lot of expired, follow-ups that haven't been done with their orders, and orders are their money, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's a little bit disappointing, but it's something that's very, very important, and then really understanding the AS400 and understanding, what the different sequences are, So, for example, a great tip that I had was, and certainly was given to me, was the PSP date, So there's a massive part. You're looking for an FO to see if the vehicle's been FO'd. So now that we know it's been ordered. You can see the requested delivery date is what the requested delivery date is. And then you're looking for the PSP. And then the bottom line is this: if you don't see a PSP date 40 days before the customer's expecting delivery, there's going to be problems. Yeah? The vehicle's, that's just the way it is. You might get lucky. So really, at that point, this is where I think you can really earn your stripes is that, then you say, okay, I don't think it's going to be there in time. What's my plan B? What am I going to do for the customer? How are we going to take care of this customer because the vehicle, it may not make it in time? And that's very important because most of our customers are picking up and then using that vehicle to drive to their next duty station. They're not just in that area and it's okay if it comes a week later. And we all know if the vehicle is late, it makes or breaks the deal, it does, So there are things we could be doing. The other one, of course, is, the same thing, is just making sure the docs have gone to the dealer. I know it's not your thing to be doing, but these are a nice little checklist you're looking at. Yeah, doc's gone, that's great. Then at least you know that that's another hiccup, And then something that's extremely important, in fact, two things, that are extremely important is that when you're selling vehicles for plant hold, all right, make sure you put 50 state emissions on there. Because if your customer doesn't know where they're going to today, the problem is you'll build this car, if it's got federal emissions on it, then they get their orders, they're going to Maryland or they're going to some place where, like California or somewhere, there's 12 states now, basically, that require special emissions. That vehicle won't be able to go there. So again, take a minute, look at it, say, right, it's a plant holder, I'm going to put basically the 50 state emissions on there. So that's it. And then there was one other point as well, and I think it's what do we say? Chasing down the 14 days beforehand, make sure the docs have gone to the dealer. Covered that, right?
Yeah. I think also, I think everyone's on board about making sure the customer's aware of the state and local taxes when they go back stateside. Nowadays, I don't think anyone makes them mistakes anymore, but it really does seem to be the common thread.
Also as well, from the AX side, of course, my AX ISR. So, this over the years that I've been doing this, especially like with all of our SPO business, you could really, take a qualified deposit from someone today, order a vehicle, and the customer is not expecting to see the vehicle until 8 months before it goes into production. Yep. So as you mentioned before with the PSP, it's important that you let the customer know to where, okay, the buyer's order that you sign today is the way you want the car to be built, because the customer can feel that he has up until the last minute to maybe change the vehicle. Now that PSP dates come out, FO has come out, order statements come out, and the customer says, well, I don't like that color anymore, so then you can avoid cancellations, and stuff that come out. So you have to really follow up with your customers.
Another one that sinks the ship, and again, it's such a small thing, is we get the car ordered on an LOI. So, we have to do that. We got to get the customer pre-approved just to make sure that, when it comes to the time, they'll be able to pay for it. We don't want to build the car and the person then can't pay for it, and then, they're held for forfeiture. So one of the things we use a lot of times is the first LOI we get our hands on, and then we tell our customers, hey, no problem. If you want to use USA or Navy or whatever you want to use later on, go ahead and do that. But we need to inform processing of that because when it comes time to send the docs out to the dealer, if they're looking in the system and they see the LOI from Andrews Federal, then they're going to put Andrews Federal on all the documentation. Then it's going to go to the dealer. The customer goes to pick it up, and guess what? That's not how they're using for the finance. They can't pick up the vehicle. And that is a nightmare. That is at least a week delay, that is. That's another one where you can lose it. So again, it's the same thing. You just want to make sure docs the dealer, if they got the right lien holder, there are the things that you can control. You can't control that the factory has a problem and there's late, and there's things beyond your control. We can anticipate it with the 40 days to PSP, and we can then try a plan B on it, but there's certain things you can't. But that doesn't mean you can walk away from it. So I think it's also important. And that was one of the things that I always, when I was a salesperson, I always really believed that, what could I have done differently? So that was the way I was trained, always to think about, was there anything I could do differently, you know, so then I can improve for the next time round. And that really helped me then to maximize my business, you know, take responsibility even when it wasn't my responsibility. That's just the way I was built.
I think it really it draws the line between being an order taker or a sales representative. You know, if you don't do the things after you actually process the order to make sure it does deliver. So,
and I think this is going to lead in very nicely to your segue after this, which will be, you know, becoming an expert, because that's all leads into that as well, you know. And I just wanted to say, while we were talking there, our chat window has been pinging again. It has been, you know. And I just wanted to go through. We got Guam 22, storm still coming.
Oh, JD. Batting the hatches.
That was the thing. Merc Daddy says, brewing up a storm.
Hey.
AX Underdog says, brewing up a cup of tea, more like it.
Shots fired.
Ramstein Closer 2019, here I come.
Good man.
And then I got Mass One saying, live from Afghanistan. Nice one out there. So Carlos, we wanted to move a little segue over to you, and we wanted to talk about your New Year's resolution, which is to become an expert. Go ahead.
Well, becoming an expert, especially in what we do, is very important. You know, in previous, podcasts that we've done, about product knowledge, and things that we're all expected to know the product knowledge, how to blueprint and qualify. But that's only the beginning of, the race. Becoming an expert where you get to a point to where you understand the procedures, and why certain procedures have to be done, to where now you don't have to depend on really handicapping your managers, on calling your managers and asking them questions that maybe you should, know or be able to find out the answer on your own. Being able to understand that, of course, what we do, it is a big team aspect, to where you're understanding, yes, we have processors, we have the guys behind transportations, between customs clearance, and things of the sort. Even, going through with the banks, with financing, what the customer need to do to, to pay in full for a vehicle, when a van release, so becoming an expert is actually trying to make yourself get to a point to where you're 360 degrees. You fight that way every day. Yeah. So it's not, everyone's not perfect. You don't have the answer to everything, but the more you can be prepared for, to make the big machine keeps moving smoother. Of course, that's less friction it will cause on everyone.
I think that's a matter of pride as well, pride and, trying to be the best you can possibly be, we did this book a few years ago, and it was all about 10,000 hours that you could basically become, the best at something. So it was like Tiger Woods, and, there was Beethoven. And the kind of myth was at the time was, that people are born that way. It's like a God's gift, basically, to them, when the reality was Tiger Woods was playing golf from the age of 2. And by the time he burst onto the scene at 19 years of age, then guess what? He'd already had 10,000 hours under his belt. And that's why he was such an expert at playing golf, Beethoven was no difference as well, But one of the things they covered in it basically was, to be the best you can possibly be in anything, expertise is really, really important. So like chess players, they learn like 80,000 different moves, and they're actually visualizing and they're actually seeing that, but they're actually taking time out to learn the different moves. That's what they're doing. So it's not that they're gifted by playing chess, is they've just taken a huge amount of time and effort to do that. And you'd be surprised in our business, how people don't engage with all the information that's out there in front of them. They'd rather just pick up the phone and call somebody.
Call someone, yes, because we've been passive, we've been handicapped ourselves over the years because we've been taught or told, and I think that's a direction that we all need to change, to say that, well, yes, call your manager. Yeah. So it's not my problem. That's another famous, thing as well, or I don't get paid.
Yeah.
But with respect, yes, you do, because if that car doesn't deliver, you won't get paid. So,
customers want to deal with experts. That's what they want to do. That's one of the big things. I mean, we're always impressed when we meet people who know their stuff. And if and even if I know my stuff and I go into a dealership, or I go into whatever, and I meet someone else that I'm really impressed, because I see that expertise, and that's something that I want. And I want to be dealt with someone with expertise.
Yeah, one of the things that Carlos is very good at is at the start of the year, he'll have an Excel sheet with every month, and this is what I want to do in that month. As in car shows, as in marketing, as in on-base appearances, and all that type of thing. And, everyone should be able to plan a car show.
Yeah.
Everyone should be able to turn around and not that your manager's going to turn around and say, no, that's my job, I plan. No, they want to be able to say, run with the ball here and tell me how much it's going to cost, And then you can actually plan out a year in advance and say, this is how much I'm going to need to make a successful year. No one wants to restrain anyone. It's like, let's work together, But often, as you were saying there, I'd say probably 90% of the emails I get on a daily basis are stuff that probably could have been taken care of at the desk, you know, from an ISR. So there is certainly an expert you'll hear a lot less from, but they'll just be saying, this is how much money I'm going to need for this show to make it a success. This is what plan I have.
Absolutely,
now
yeah.
Jump on board and let's do it together, you know.
There's I'm going to demonstrate something, and this is on the product knowledge side of expertise as well, which is what our, you know, customers expect from us, you know. And one of the things that's always been really difficult is that someone comes in and we're pretty good with our own product knowledge, but then, you know, someone wants to talk about a vehicle we're not familiar with, maybe a competitive vehicle, and we're almost running for the hills, you know. And there's a nice little thing out there called AdvantageStar out there. It was launched, and I don't know if many of the guys are using it or not. I go around and ask people from time to time and say, hey, you know, you're using this, and don't think a lot of people seem to be using it. So we're going to select a Ford, for example, here. So we got to pull up this Ford, and then let's just say it's a Ford F-150, popular vehicle, no doubt about it. And you know, your customer is looking at a Chevy Silverado back in the good old US of A. So then all you do is just select the Silverado. And what's really nice about this, you can see here on the screen, then it comes up very quickly, and it pretty much shows the advantages of the F-150 over the Chevy Silverado. And it's quite nice, you know, it goes through everything, whether you look at safety, the warranty advantages, the reliability advantages, you know, the engine, talks about if it's got more horsepower, more torque, you know, fuel economy, and it goes through every part of it, which is really nice to have that, you know. And again, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, can add to, you know, your expertise, because once you start getting familiar with this and you're using enough times, then you'll start basically learning product knowledge about your competition as well. And so I think it's a very, very nice option, that's for sure, you know. Mm-hmm. What about yourself, Dave?
Yeah, I think you took the words right out of my mouth. There were some great tools that we used to use as well, and I don't see the guys using as much anymore. There was one iShowroom we used to use for Jeeps, and that was phenomenal. Yeah. It's the same with Ford. The name evades me at the moment, the name for the Ford one. So it's basically where you could actually have that little bit of competitive edge, because you were able to show a customer videos of the features on their vehicle, which was really cool because people like to see what it does, you know. And there's plenty of tools that are out there that Neil is lined up for us to be able to utilize, you know. So yeah, I think probably the expert part of it and the initial part of the sale is probably the most important.
I just think it's a matter, sorry Carlos, it's a matter of just taking a healthy, you know, interest in the business and the industry we're in, and really look, you know, delve into it. You know, you're selling cars, get interested in it. You know, we're taking care of customers, read sales books. There's so many things you could be doing to better in yourself, and just take the, you know, this profession seriously, and, you know, and do the best you can possibly do with it, you know. Go ahead, Carlos.
You know, and I think as well, I mean, we have to also understand that the way customers are buying cars nowadays are different than before. You know, customers now enter the showroom and they've already done their research, you know, so it behooves us to also be, you know, abreast, you know. So if a customer asks you anything product knowledge wise, so it's not a smart thing to invent, you know, things, you know, what have you. So, you know, years ago, not to tell my age, you know, whenever you had to send ghost customers down to the competitors to get a dummy price sheet, you know, what have you, to see what pricing was like, you know, or what's the gas mileage on this vehicle, what have you, go in there and talk to that guy and see what he's doing. Yeah. But now with all of the tools, and, you know, even with the AdvantageStar we have here, everything's at your fingertips, so we can be more prepared, you know, to better ourselves for our customers, because it's going to be, could be back and forth, you know, so yeah. Absolutely. And that goes into, you know, building that rapport, you know, and confidence, you know, with the customers as well.
So before we finish up the show, I just wanted to do a quick little shout out there. This is for our Happy New Year. And Tim Daniels has sent one in. He really wants to say Happy New Year to everybody. I know he said it at all at the launch meeting to everybody this year, but he really wanted to go out his way and make sure that everybody involved in the organization, that he wishes them a Happy New Year and all the success. And of course, I wanted to reach out to all my Zonies out there and do exactly the same thing. We've had a great year, and I'm hoping 2019 is going to be even better, you know. And Dave Waters has done a little shout out, and just to say Happy New Year to all his boys and girls as well, you know. So that's it. So that is the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, you know, we're always looking for suggestions. We're always looking for comments. We're always looking for some ways to improve the show. So please don't be shy. If you've got anything you think we should feature, you know, please let us know, you know.
Absolutely. Happy New Year again, and good luck to everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you in the next one.